For analysis of the situation as it stands now in Israel, Palestine, and beyond, we're joined once again by Middle East expert Alberto Fernandez. He's the vice president of the Middle East Media Research Institute and a former ambassador and diplomat with the U.S. State Department. Alberto, welcome back. We're rolling into the fourth week of this conflict, and a ground offensive from Israel has not yet begun. What can we expect over the next few days?
Well, I think actually we're approaching with this fourth week an inflection point. And actually, I think that we are very close to, a much larger escalation in the fighting and perhaps that ground offensive. The sense is that we're reaching towards a certain point where something is going to happen. It's going to break one way or the other. So very soon we will see a ground offensive, maybe perhaps within hours, or we will see some kind of diplomatic pause of some sort.
Iran's role in this has been stressed by the U.S. and at the United Nations, Iran's foreign minister had this message for America and Western countries supporting Israel's airstrikes in Gaza. Let's take a listen.
We do not welcome to expansion of the war in the region, but I warn if the genocide in Gaza continues, they will not be spared from this fire. It is our home, and West Asia is our region.
Alberto, was this a threat to Americans on American soil?
Of course, it's a threat to Americans on American soil, but it's nothing new, nothing we haven't heard before. Since the Biden administration came into office in 2021, Iranian militias have fired rockets or attack drones at American bases almost 100 times and very frequently in the last few days. So, I mean, he's hinting at something which is kind of already happening, but at a lower level.
It seems that all of the U.S. military, as well as the president himself, have had one word for anyone who's trying to escalate this violence. They say, don't, right? And at a press conference on Thursday, the Council of American Islamic Relations complained to the National Security Council spokesperson, John Kirby, about President Biden's refusal to use the Gaza Health Ministry's casualty numbers, calling him harsh. Kirby's response was uncharacteristically pointed. Let's listen to what he said.
It would be helpful if Hamas would let them leave their homes, leave areas, not shelter in tunnels underneath their houses and in hospitals, and let them get out. Let them get out of Gaza if they want to leave. We know that there are thousands waiting to leave Gaza writ large, and Hamas is preventing them from doing it. That is what is harsh.
Is misinformation driving some of these questions?
Certainly. I mean, people have political positions, and so people in wartime, especially, and we are in full-scale war. Israel was attacked. Israel has declared war in return against Hamas. In wartime, there is disinformation and manipulation of the truth and completely false information put out. We're seeing a lot of that every day, especially from the very, very large kind of Palestinian leftist, Russian, China, Iranian nexus, which has a real presence on social media.
And the continued shelling in Gaza, the loss of civilian life there, it really has shaken much of the world, especially many Palestinian sympathizers in Arab countries. Jordan is a strong U.S. ally in the region, but the wife of King Abdullah recently made big news in an interview exclusive she gave to CNN. While acknowledging Israel's right to defend itself after the horrible attacks of October 7th, Queen Rania said the airstrikes have gone too far. Let's listen to her.
Even if Israel goes and defeats every last or kills every last Hamas member, then what? Haven't they left a trail of terrible memories, horrific memories, that will just create a new generation of resistance that is fiercer and more violent? Are we being told that it is wrong to kill a family, an entire family at gunpoint, but it's okay to shell them to death? I mean, there is a glaring double standard here, and it is just shocking to the Arab world.
Alberto, although her point is understood on the loss of life and the resentment, why have Jordan, Egypt, and the surrounding Arab countries refused to take in refugees to lower casualties?
Well, they have historically a lot of refugees. You know, Jordan is more than half Palestinian. In fact, Queen Rania herself is Palestinian. So, of course, she's channeling the Palestinian position perhaps more than the Jordanian one. I mean, it was, after all, her own father-in-law who shelled Palestinian refugee camps in 1970, Black September, when the Palestinians tried to overthrow the Kingdom of Jordan.
So in having her as the spokesperson for this, is there a reason that King Abdullah isn't coming out publicly saying some similar things?
Well, Jordan has to manage this reality, which is it has a very large, very vocal Palestinian population. The king himself is not Palestinian, and the military security services are not Palestinian. They're East Bankers. Or Hashemites, who are not even from Jordan. So he has to kind of walk this fine line. Jordan is also strongly supported by the United States, strongly supported by the CIA and by the U.S. military. So there is an element in Jordan's foreign policy of saying one thing and doing something else.
Let's go a little deeper then into the Palestinian mentality. Many pro-Palestinian protests around the world and on college campuses in the U.S., like at George Washington University here in D.C., use the slogan or chant, "From the river to the sea." What does that mean to them?
Well, it means that there is one unitary Palestinian state to be held, to exist in the Holy Land, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean. So it is a call for the extermination of the state of Israel. What it's saying that is Palestine, all of it. You may remember hearing some chants in New York right after the massacres on October 7th, where they said, we want all of it. So often in the West, we think of a kind of a line and kind of divide pie and the, settlements and all of that. But there's an element, a very powerful element on the Palestinian side that wants all of it for themselves. They want to rule the entire region. They want the elimination of the state of Israel. They don't want to share things with Israel. They want to conquer it and destroy it.
And is that a justification then for the violence from October 7th and the continued hostages that are being held?
Not at all. I mean, I think that the reality is that there have been repeated efforts to make peace. There have been repeated efforts to divide things, to offer the Palestinians almost everything that they asked for. Most recently in 2008, under the Olmert government, that offered even the Palestinians a capital in East Jerusalem, but it was turned down. Now, there's a difference even between, that was the PLO. Hamas believes that all of Palestine, all of 1948 Palestine, should be one Islamic state.
Well, that's certainly what's fueling anti-Semitism here. Alberto, we will continue monitoring the situation and hope to have you back.
Thank you.